Hello, everybody. This is our first lesson. This is the video in case you missed the first lesson the first week of school, and I'll go over a couple things too that you should also know when it comes to the book and things. So every lesson is going to start like this. Now, there are a couple different ways to look at the lessons. You can use the online textbook and stuff like that, and things. That's what it looks like through Savaas. You can click on these. This is what yours would look like and stuff. Sometimes the internet doesn't always work that great, or you should be using your student companion book as we go through all this kind of stuff, and we'll go through that. But I'm going to use the smart lesson that I have just because it goes a little bit quicker and stuff. So lesson 1-1, measuring segments and angles. That's what we're going to learn. Every time there'll be an essential question. How are the properties of a segment used? And there'll always be some vocab, and then it says what you can at the end. So let's just get started with this. Always write down these vocab words. Make sure that you have them situated somewhere where you can use them to review for tests and things, because these will be placed on your test. You want to know your vocab. Every lesson will always have this kind of opener here. Like, this is just kind of our explore and reason. So you take a look at this. This is something you should discuss on with a partner or in your own head or whatever you might need to do. What are some of the methods for finding the distance between points A and B? Like, how would you find the distance between A and B? Pause the video, think about it, write something down. Okay. I'm going to keep going, though, so you should have paused this. Maybe go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it's a distance of 8. It's one way. You can sit there and subtract. 5 minus a negative 3 actually equals 8 because minus a negative, right? Use a calculator if you need to. The other thing that we're going to learn eventually, too, is that distances have to be positive. You can't have a negative distance. You can't have a negative angle, technically, when we're doing this lesson. If I'm walking backwards here, okay, I'm still walking a distance of whatever, 8 feet, whatever it might be, 8 inches or something. So you're going to learn here is actually, this is what's called absolute value. And then watch what happens here. Negative 3 minus a 5 gives you a negative 8, which absolute value still gives you a positive 8. So that's just a couple ways you can do it. Which method of finding the distance is the best? What do you think is the best? That's up to you. There's no right answer. You decide what's best for you. Okay, now sometimes depending on the situation, one way might be better than the other. All right, vocab. So here's some vocab. Here's the first, 3 problems here, or 3 things. So these are the ones I'm telling you. A point. I would write down what the diagram is, the notation, what a line looks like, what the notation is, plane. Pause the video here. You can write these down. I don't think they need too much further explanation than this. Okay. If you have anything, ask your teacher. And then here's a few more. Again, once now that you've gotten to this, I would pause the video, go back if you didn't get the other ones. You need to have the vocab. Geometry is very vocab heavy. And you're not going to be able to do a lot of things if you don't know what these things mean, okay? I am going to explain a little bit something, though, with the angle here. Be careful when you have angle Q like that, because right in this case it's okay because there's only one. Where you're going to get in trouble is if you had something like this. Okay, because now that we have 3 angle Qs, we have this one here, we have this one here, and then I'll use a different color. We have this one. I would highly recommend, when you can, always use 3 letters if it's there. Like this one on the left is PQS, the one on the right is RQS, the big one would be PQR. I would highly recommend using 3 letters when you can. Pause the video if you need more time to look at these. All right, let's get to our first example. Now, the examples are never in your book. The examples are something your teacher will go over. If you want to take extra notes, write the problem down, you can. The try-its, which will be next, that's in your book. So this one here, how do you find the length of CD? So how would we find this length? Okay, there's a couple different ways. The book simply says it has to be a positive number. You can use the number line to find it. You get a distance of 3. So things like that. 1, 2, 3. You can do 4 minus 1 equals 3. You can do 1 minus 4 equals -3, but just make sure it's always a positive number. You just flip it. So, pretty simple. So go ahead and do your try it now. You guys got this. Pause the video if you need to. Whatever you might need to do. How can you find the length of AC? So find the length of A to C. So we got A to C. I believe you all probably got the number 4. Okay, some basic stuff here. Now the ruler postulate is kind of what I was showing you earlier. The ruler postulate is, okay, we have a ruler, you have the numbers and things like that. Well, this is what I was showing you. Now normally a lot of you would just kind of go 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, you're not going to always have a ruler to use in this case. Protractor works too. Sometimes when you do need something to measure, a protractor, that's this thing right here. Okay. And in this case, this is what I was talking about. You can subtract either one of these numbers from each other as long as when you get a negative number, like when you get a negative number -4 here, you just got to remember you cannot have a negative distance, okay? Here's example 2. All right, so basically we're going to be using that ruler. So using the ruler postulate, right, we have find KL. So find these. So basically they want you to do it 2 different ways. Now in this case, you could do it 3 ways. You could go 1, 2, 3, 4. You could do the 16 minus 12. You could do the 12 minus the 16. Because you get a -4, right? We've already talked about that. You can count. The bottom line is, do you get the number 4 on this one? Yeah, we all should. Now, this is why you have to use the ruler postulate. You can't count anymore because as you notice, there's no little tick marks here. There's none. So what I'd like you all to do is you have this try it. You have A. So let's find the distance from J to K. And then it says find the distance from K to M. So go ahead and find those on your own. Pause the video, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully you pause the video. JK would be 7, and KM would be 15, all right? If you need help with this, talk to your teacher, talk to a friend. I'll do the first one, though. You could have done 12 minus 5 or 5 minus 12. Once again, they have to be absolute values. You would get 7 or -7, which equals 7 there. So, okay? Segment addition postulate. What is the segment addition postulate? It's adding 2 segments together, right? Now, you can also sometimes subtract. We'll get into that, but adding 2 segments together to get the whole thing. That's it. Segment addition postulate. Go ahead and write down this information here. You got another one here. You got 3, 6.63. The whole thing is 9.63. Add them together, so we're good. Okay. So now this is the word collinear. What does collinear mean? Collinear means that all the points, 3 points or more in a straight line, right? No curves and things like that. So these are collinear. Now we're getting into some algebra, ladies and gentlemen. The thing is here, so you have these 2 equations, GH. So from here is 2x plus 2, but it also knows we equal 16. They want to know what F to H is. Well, we can't do that unless we know what FG is. So we got to solve for X. So we take 2x plus 2 equals 16. We subtract 2 from both sides. And we get X equals 7. Okay, so we know X equals 7. And if my handwriting isn't great for you or whatever it might be, there they go. So now what we have to do, we have a couple options here. You can take the number 7 and plug it in for this equation. So you would do 3 times 7 minus 1, which gives you 21 minus 1, which gives you 20. Well, now that we know this is 20, and we already know this one's 16, you can add those together to get FH, which is 36. Now, look at this. They're telling you this is 16 and this is 20. Not all pictures are always drawn to scale in a geometry book, unfortunately. Trust your math, trust your gut. Now, the way the book did this one, though, is they added these 2 together. They added the 3x minus 1 plus the 2x plus 2 first. So we have 3x and 2x, which gives us 5x. We have a minus 1 plus 1, or plus 2, so we get a plus 1. And we know, right, and we're trying to figure out what this whole thing equals. Well, we know that equals 7, so we end up getting 36, which is what we got already. Multiple ways to do a problem and still get it right. So here's your tries. Pause the video, please. Set these up, see what you come up with. Unpause it, as I'm going to now get going into the problem and solving it. So J to L equals 25. This says simply what is n. All right, well, 25 is this whole thing. So this whole thing is this plus this. So you get 3n plus 5n minus 7. Okay, so we get 8n minus 7. But what do we know this whole thing equals is 25. Okay, we're going to add 7 to both sides. You get 8n equals 32. So you get n equals 4. So we already know now that n equals 4, which is great. Now it says what is jk and kl. Well, now all we do is just plug 4 in for this one and plug 4 in for this one. You get 3 times 4, which is 12. You get 5 times 4 minus 7, which is 20 minus 7, which equals 13. Now, does that make sense? 12 plus 13 equals 25, doesn't it? So we're good to go. Now we need to use a protractor. A protractor measures angles. Now, as you can see on here, we have this. Now, you got to be really careful with which one. So if you take a look at angle C, or angle B there, you can see it actually is on 2 different numbers, 60 and 120. So you're going to have to make sure you know which angle you're actually going to have to use. Sometimes you'll use the outer one. Sometimes you use the inner one. Something that'll come along with practice, okay? And how do you know which one to use? Well, where are you starting, right? Like if this one we're starting at A, well, that's 0. 0's on the outside. That's why we're going to use that, and that's 60 degrees, okay? So it's just something to kind of keep in mind using a protractor. So on this one, they want to know what angle BEC is. So BEC, so we have B. So when you're taking a look at this, you got to make sure that we can actually see this pretty well and stuff. And it's like, okay, so where's B, right? B's right here. And where's C? C here is at 105. B here is at 47. So what is that angle? As you notice, they did it with an absolute value. So they did 105 minus 47 to get 58. Okay? Just subtracting. Again, all I did was, now, how do I know which angles and stuff to deal with here? What's kind of interesting with this one is so how do I know to use the outer ones here? How do I know this one's 47, this 105? Because look, there's nothing over here. So A right here is at 0. So I'm going to use that. I'm going to use the outer numbers as I come through here. Now, if you sat here and you went from this other one, well, this one here is 75, and this one here would be about 133. You could use those in this case, subtract them, and you would still get 58. The distance between these are 58 degrees. All right, so this is in your book. You should be able to look at this, and they want to know what these angles are. Please pause the video and see if you can come up with them before I go over the answers, okay? So it looks like 105. So A, E, C. A over here. Boom. Looks like it's 105 degrees. B, E, D. Okay, so B right here looks like, again, it's about 47 degrees. D here, and again, I'm using the outer numbers in this case because I start over here. So that's about 47, and then this one goes to about 130. So I'm going to do 130 minus 47, which should give me 83, which it did. Okay. So here's the angle addition postulate I mentioned earlier. Same thing. Little angle 30, little angle 30, the whole thing adds up to 60. So taking a little angle and a little angle, Here's another one here that we have. 53 plus 62 equals 115. So adding a small one with a small one equals the big one. So a lighting designer is finalizing the lighting plan for an upcoming production. The spotlight can rotate 25 degrees. That's as far as it can go. To the left or the right of the center. So I can go 25 and 25. The beam of light from the spotlight forms a 22-degree angle, which is right here. Can the designer use the spotlight to light each of the objects on stage? So it only can go 25 degrees, right? It can only go in there. So what is it going to be able to hit all of these, right? That's what they're trying to look for here. So as we sit here, we're going to formulate this. We're going to draw up a diagram. So we drew up a little diagram here. So we have draw and label diagram, represent the beams and the angles. So, okay, we have 22 degrees. We have 74 is this whole big thing. So 74 is the whole thing. We have the 57 right here, which goes from this part to this part, so chair to door. And then we have the 22-degree angle, which is right here, okay? So we're going to compute that. So we have x plus 22 must equal, so this right here is the x, right? We're trying to figure out, we need to know what exactly this is here, okay? So this part right here, so x plus the 22 has to equal 57. So what would this part right there be? Would be 35 degrees, okay? So from here to here would be 35 degrees. We're going to call this y because we don't know what that one is. So we're going to call that one y. We do know that this whole thing here can add up to 74. Okay, that's one thing there. Or we can sit there and have it. So yeah, it equals there. So y plus the 57, because we know this is 57, has to equal 74. And you end up getting y equals 17, x equals 35. Therefore, the spotlight can rotate 25 degrees to the right or left, so the designer can use the spotlight to light the table, but can't get the chair. So it's not going to get the chair, right? So it'll easily come here because that's only 17 degrees. This one's 35. There's no way they can rotate it to get there, okay? Don't overcomplicate that one, really, but here we go. Refer to this problem. Can the lighting designer replace a 22-degree spotlight with the one that has a 33 beam angle that can rotate this 25 degrees? So would that work? Yes, because x then would be 24, y would be 17, and both are less than the 25 degrees. So, all right, I wouldn't over-worry about this one too much. So at the end of every unit, you're always going to have what's called a concept, and this is kind of everything there. I would pause this video, maybe kind of put some things down on paper so you have them. One thing you might want to look at, what does a tick mark mean? That means that these are the same. It's called congruent. You'll see this symbol here. Congruent numbers are equal. Objects are congruent. We do the same thing with arcs. This arc and this arc are congruent. This arc and this arc are congruent, okay? Just something this is really huge in geometry. This is a big, big part of geometry there. Okay? So if angle 127, so XWZ here, X, W, and Z, this whole thing is 127. This whole thing is 127. They want to know what YWV. They want to know what this part is. Well, some people are like, well, how do I know that? I don't know what this is. Yes, you do. Do you see how this is one arc? That's one arc, meaning they're both 32. So you'd add the 32 to get 64. You would subtract it from the 127. You get 63 degrees. Because this angle, and this angle add up to 127. This one here and this one here are 32. So see, 32 plus something plus 32 equals 127. Therefore, that angle equals 63. Okay, what is HF? So HF is the one, they want to know what this is. So look at this. The first thing you got to do is CM here has 2 lines. That means anything with 2 lines is 11 centimeters. Anything with 1 tick right here, 1 tick is 8 centimeters. 8 centimeters. Okay? So they want to know what the length of H to F is. 11 plus 8 is 19 because of the tick marks. So now you have some try-its. Pause the video, do the 2 try-its, and then unpause it, and I'll see if you got the answers right. NOP. So NOP right here is 31 degrees. NOQ, the whole thing is 114. Okay. So you have 114 minus 31. Okay. And just to double check that we got it right, 114 minus 31. Calculators are fantastic. You get 83. So that means these 2 angles together add up to 83. Well, there's 2 of them. So you would divide by 2, and you get 41.5 degrees. And then this one, CD. CD here is 11.5. DE is 5.3. And the perimeter of the figure, this whole perimeter, is 73.8. They want to know what G to E is. So they want to know what this one is. Okay. So this is 8. This is 8. I know this is 11. Okay. So what you'd have to do is add this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Add them all up together, right, to get that whole thing. Subtract it from 73.8 because we know the whole thing. So whatever, and then whatever this one is that one there. And you get 11. That sound about right? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I forgot this one here, 11.5, right? So add all those up. So you add them all up together. You would get 11 left, and these 2 have 3 tick marks, okay? All right. Measuring segments, here's the summary of what we learned today. I would definitely pause the video, write some of this stuff down. They're really going to help you out. Now, at the end, we're always going to have these do you understands. Did you understand? You kind of right there. What's the essential question? How are properties of segments and angles determined? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to go ahead and write this in your book. This is, you don't have, you can think about it. You can pause these as you know, but go ahead. I would right now do problems 1, 2, 3, and 4. The do you understands, pausing the video, see what you come up with, and then I'll explain them to you. But here's the answer to your essential question. So pause the video, please. Now next, error analysis. Ella wrote this, -1 plus 5 equals 4. What is her error? Okay, because 1, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So really it's 6. She got 4. What's the error, everybody? She added instead of subtracting. You subtract the distance to get the total distance from them, okay? Should have been -1 minus 5, which would have given her -6, which then would have given her 6. Vocabulary. What does it mean for segments to be congruent? What does it mean for angles to be congruent? You should already pause this and try answering these. Segments are congruent if they have the same length. Angles are congruent if they have the same measurement. Now, making sense of a problem here. Suppose M is a point in the interior of JKL. So I don't know what this looks like, but JKL. M is a point in the interior. So M is somewhere here. MKL, so MKL is 42. JKL, this whole thing is 84. What would JKM be? Well, it'd also be 42. It's 42 plus 42, meaning M is right in the middle. It cuts the angle in half. All right. Now you're always going to have these do you know how. So those other ones were do you understand. These are do you know how. I would pause the video, try solving as many of these as you can. Please pause the video. All right, so let's find a segment here. So what is W to X? Oh, come on, man, that's easy. 2, right? Boom, 2. Hopefully you paused the video and everything there. How about Y, or W to Y? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Boom, 9, right? A, B, and C are collinear. B is between A and C. AB is 12 and AC is 19. What is BC? Okay. So you're going to draw 3 points. I don't know if these are the right distances or whatever. B is in between AC. Given that AB is 12, AC is 19. What would BC be? 7, right? Yeah, so we got 7. And then this last one, JML. JML, this whole thing is 80 degrees. KML. KML is 33. Subtract the two of them, and you should get 47 degrees. All right, so there's lesson 1. Let your teacher know if you have any issues, and hopefully that helped out.